What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Supergirl Season 6, Episode 10, Still I Rise. Oh boy, we are probably going to be in for a long one. So first of all, I will talk about the weird scheduling thing. So essentially, the way I've been doing these reviews is I have like a website up, and it has all of the Arrowverse episodes in order, and I can actually click and like filter through some of the ones that I'm not watching, like the Constantine show or Vixen. So I'm able to filter it out, and I'm also able to filter it by date. So essentially, I've just been going down, and whenever I reach a new episode that I haven't watched yet, I'll watch 3 episodes of it for each show, and then that's basically how I've been doing it and how I've been keeping it somewhat in order. So of course with Supergirl, I know I said this in the last review of it, but for some reason there was this weird gap where they stopped on episode 7 back in like May of 2022 and then didn't release another episode until August of 2022. And what's weird about that is you go through all of that and then they keep going, and then Legends of Tomorrow just finished out, and I just finished that one. And it's like within a month, Legends Season 7 starts, while Supergirl Season 6 is still going on. So I'm not going to jump into Legends Season 7, because I'm saving all of those seasons for later. But it is just weird to me that Supergirl literally lasted, it started, I'm pretty sure, before Legends Season 6, and then Legends Season 6 ends before Supergirl does, and then Legends Season 7 starts before Supergirl ends. It's very odd. But no, I mean, this episode is just more stupidity all around from, basically, I mean, every single story is kind of dumb in some way. First of all, the whole Orlando and the affordable housing story, I won't get into the economic issues with that because I don't want to start long, big arguments on here. But what I will say that I feel like a lot of people can agree with on both sides, you shouldn't assume a group of people is one way based on one example out of that group of people, right? Like that's what both sides kind of agree on. The problem is both sides still try to use that to their advantage. You know, from Supergirl's point of view, they want to use Orlando and be like, see, look, criminals want to be reformed. We should help them out. And then you could go look at several other criminals on the show that don't want to be reformed, that enjoy the life of crime, that want to go back and they just enjoy doing it. They don't want to try to make an honest life for themselves because like, it's too hard. So you could use both sides of the example, and yet this whole episode is based on the idea that no, there are a lot of people out there like Orlando that are actually good people deep down. You live in a superhero world where there are supervillains that are just always going to be evil. That's just how it is. Some people, they are power hungry. Some people, they are greedy. Some people, I mean, you can't change everybody. That's just the fact of it. And again, won't talk about how economically detrimental affordable housing can be, but you base this whole episode based on one guy who turned out to be a good guy and wants to reform his life as a criminal. You're not really setting yourself up for a strong case. And yet, of course, by the end of it, because we want to have a happy ending, the entire board is like, oh yes, I really felt that one young man's story, so I'm gonna change my vote based on this one guy. That's how it works in our world. Are you stupid? I'll answer that for you. You are stupid. The writing team is so dumb, and they're also super conceited because, oh man, the way that they use this show, it sort of reminds me of, if you've seen Moon Knight, that one moment near the end of the show where I think it's Lila is the name of the girl, but she becomes a superhero, and then this one little girl is watching. She's like, oh, are you an Egyptian superhero? And she's like, yeah, I am. And the girl's like, oh, almost like she feels represented now because there's an Egyptian superhero in the Marvel Universe. And it felt so self-congratulatory. Like Marvel just patting themselves on the back. They're like, oh yeah, look at this. See, this is what we do for little kids around the world, guys. We create heroes that represent them. Why are they represented by them? Well, because they're both Egyptian. I mean, surely you can't tell me that somebody from a different country can look up to a hero that's from America and be like, I feel represented by it. I want to be them. Nobody does that. Don't look at those little kids in other countries that still dress up as like Captain America or dress up as, Spider-Man. Don't ignore them. They're not represented. They don't feel represented. I know they love these. Just ignore. But that's exactly what this felt like, though. The moment where Akara was like, my voice may not matter, but maybe I can use my platform to make other voices heard. It's just so like, I don't know. There's something about it that feels, I'm such a hero because I'm writing these stories in this show that represent people that are minorities. I'm so good at my job. Good job, me. See, I'm using my platform, and I'm going to make sure Supergirl says it too, so you guys can make that correlation that that's what we're doing here, because we are heroes in this writing room. So conceited. And again, you're trying to tell these stories, and you're trying to push this message that you feel like everybody that you're trying to represent wants to hear and wants to be out there. I would guarantee probably half of them are just like, this is all stupid. Like, can we just tell good stories, please? So yeah, all of the Orlando stuff was just dumb, and that took up a lot of time. The stuff with Mixie, Nixley. She's obviously now trying to get her magic back because I guess for some reason when she made the jump with the team, her magic didn't come through, and I don't know how she got stuck inside the dream world with Nia and all that, but blah, 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 blah. She wants her magic back. She puts all this in place. She tricks the guy super easily, that I might add. Like, I don't know. From this guy's point of view, how stupid can you be? You capture this, whatever they're called, the fifth dimensional being or something. You capture her, and all it takes is, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't have my powers. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll let you go then. What? You're just gonna trust her like that? And if you know what a fifth dimensional being is, you know how manipulative and you know how tricky they can be. So again, you just trust her right off the bat? She says she has an idea to help you capture Supergirl. You just trust her off the bat? Like, it's just like Nia trusting her in the last episode, which I will get to her story. Like, it's just so simple. It's so simple for Nixley to get exactly what she wants because the writing team needs her to, so we can have a conflict in the show. That it feels dumb. It feels so dumb. And this guy's an idiot. And of course the fact that they use him to further push this, like, oh, but I thought he was, I don't understand, why did he go back to this life of crime? Well, because it's what he does. It's what he likes to do. He wasn't just doing it because, it's the only way I can get by. He enjoyed doing it. He and his, I think, brother, they had fun capturing these aliens and showing them off. That was their way of life, and it's what they enjoyed. You're telling me that, no, the system failed him. Yeah, the system made him want to go back and do it. But let's see. I want to save Nia's story for last because, God, it's so dumb. Oh, you've got Andrea. Again, she's all about the numbers, and so when Kara comes in with this story, she's like, yeah, but it's just not that interesting, and people want interesting stuff. And then she says the most ridiculous line. She's like, revolutions can be started with a tweet. We've reached a point now, and granted this did come out last year, but I feel like even last year, we reached a point where people were just kind of like, no, like social media is kind of dumb. Like all of this, you get on the trending page or whatever, a lot of people are just like, so? Like it's clear there's an algorithm that pushes certain trends that they want to be pushed. Like that's how these social media sites work, and most people know that. Not everybody, obviously, because there's a lot of ignorant fools out there. But a lot of people know this. So for you to act like social media and hashtags and tweets and all this stuff, like that really pushes things forward, you're kind of dumb. Like you're kind of... We've reached a point now where a lot of people are past that. Like, yes, that was a thing, several years ago. That was a thing where social media really was kind of the forefront. But a lot of people now know about the algorithms. They know how it works. They know they're being showed what the website wants to show them based on stuff that they've looked up in the past. Like, most people realize that at this point, and they don't trust social media anymore. So, yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of dumb. Although it was kind of funny to hear a tweet when obviously it's not Twitter anymore. But let's see. William is involved, but again, they've sort of just forgotten the whole romance storyline between him and Kara, which I don't mind. You know, I obviously was not a fan of that, but it's just kind of funny that he's just sort of around now, and they don't even really talk about them being possibly an item anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of glad that we're not focusing on Kara and William being like super, oh my gosh, are they going to get together and they're not going to get together? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It's just weird though. Like, the writing doesn't feel like it makes any sense. The stuff with Kelly. There we go. I was like, there was another thing that really bugged me. Yeah, Kelly, again, I know I talked about this in the last review as well, but this whole idea that she has to be a fighter, she has to be on the front lines with everybody else, despite the fact that she has no powers, not really much training, no weapons that she can use, is dumb. Like, whenever she's talking to Kara and she's like, oh, you guys have superpowers, Alex has her years of training in her gauntlet, I just don't know, I mean, and all I can think is, yeah, I know, this is why you shouldn't be out there fighting. You can do other things to help. You, in your position, there are other things that you can do to help the team from behind the scenes. You don't have to go fight. But yet, for some reason, this show seems to think if you're not out there fighting, you're not doing anything. If you're not fighting, what good are you? Like, that's how everybody seems to treat it. And it's dumb. Like, honestly, I kind of, when she said that, there's a part of me that was hoping Carl was going to be like, you know, you don't have to fight to be useful to the team. Like, fighting is not all that this team is about. Like, sometimes we don't fight. Sometimes we try not to fight. We try to help the bad guys. You can help with that stuff. Sometimes when we're fighting, we're too busy in the fight to really see the bigger picture going on, and you can help with that. There are so many things that she could do outside of the battlefield, and yet there's still kind of, no, you're a fighter. I believe in you. Hey, the way you fought Alex earlier when you were training with her, the way you took her down, you're a fighter. You can do this. Why does she have to fight? It's so dumb. Why do these shows think that everybody has to be on the field fighting to be useful? I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's see. Is there anything else before the Nia storyline? I think that's it. Okay, so Nia, right? So last episode, you know, we had that stupid moment where even though her mom's owl was telling her not to trust Nixley, she knows about imps. She knows they're not trustworthy. Nixley was not exactly acting like the nicest human being in the world in that moment, and yet, despite all that, she's like, no, I'm going to help you because I want to see my grandma again. So she gets her grandma back, not exactly how she planned, instantly gets tricked. And her grandma finally just kind of tells her, hey, look, you fucked up. Like, that's kind of the whole story here. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, good. We did have a little bit of that. The problem is that all the stuff around that one moment where her grandmother basically tells her, you made a mistake, own up to it. You know, you can't fix your mistake now. You have to own up to what you did, and you have to try to find a way to work through this. You know, you have to try to find a new solution because you can't just go back and undo the mistake you did before because it's done. I appreciated that message. All the stuff on the outside was so stupid. First of all, her grandmother shows up. Why didn't you listen to my owl? Wait, that owl was you? You saw her walking through the forest with the owl perched on her arm. You think? And then she goes on to tell her, I just don't know how to do it without you here. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Because again, we've not seen a moment where she's not been able to figure something out. Eventually. Sometimes it does come a little bit late into the game, but she still manages to figure stuff out. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that she's figuring out, it does seem pretty bare bones. So they're writing her to be kind of stupid. I think a lot of people can piece together what exactly is happening and what her dreams mean. if you have, like, a little bit of intelligence. But what I find so stupid about all this is she keeps telling her grandmother, like, I need you here. I need you to help me figure this stuff out. How are you ever going to learn how to do it yourself if you constantly have somebody helping you? And that's where a lot of this whole dilemma, a lot of this whole trouble that she's dealing with, it makes no sense because you're basically contradicting yourself with your writing of her. Because you want her to be able to figure it out all by herself. You want her to be able to figure out how to do it without any help. And yet she constantly wants people to help her figure it out. She constantly wants her grandmother to come back and help her figure stuff out. That's not how life works. And nobody ever just sits her down and says that to her. Her grandmother never just comes in and says, look, I can help you, but that's not helping you figure stuff out. That's not helping you in the long run. If I constantly have to be here, I'm not always going to be here. Even if Nixley did manage to bring her back and actually bring her back, like she's alive again, she's still going to die someday. People die eventually. At that point, you're going to have to do it on your own. And if you've constantly been having her guide you along, like, okay, here you go, let me tell you what this means. How are you going to sit here and go, okay, well, now I know how to do this on my own? Because you've never done it alone. And that's what, nobody ever just says that to her. At least that I can remember. They've had this conversation with her. I genuinely don't remember that scene. I might have tuned it out. But as far as I remember, nobody's ever just sat her down and said, you've got to figure out how to do this on your own. You've got to figure out how to do this. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of training, a lot of effort. But you've got to figure out how to do this. Because if you cannot, you're never going to be able to grow. If you constantly have to rely on other people to be like, here, let me tell you what this means, then you're never going to be able to do it for yourself. And that's just the truth of it. And yet we spend all of this time, this whole episode with her grandmother, and the only talking to she gets is about helping Nixley. That's the only talking to she gets. It's like, hey, you can't change that. You did this. You messed up. It sucks. You have to live with it now. You can't just forget about it. You can't just ignore it. You can't just go change it. That's the only talking to she gets in this episode. And it's just, God, it feels, I don't know. Like, I feel like it should be an easy thing to bring up. It's just saying, hey, look, you've got to do this or you won't ever be able to do it without any help. Simple. But unfortunately, because they, for some reason, I guess, need the storyline to continue, they're like, nope, let's still have her try to do it with the help of other people. The whole thing with her, I think it's her sister, Maeve. Is that right? When she said Maeve, I'm just like, wait, who? And then later on, she's talking about how she got the powers instead of her, and I'm just like, oh, right, I think she had a sister that hated her because she got powers instead of her, and then just, I don't know. Her whole character has been kind of dumb, so I really forgot a lot about her story. Honestly, until, I think, last episode, or maybe it was the episode before, one of the recent episodes, she mentioned how she can't do it without the help of her grandmother and how much she misses her. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, right. Her grandmother died. I forgot about that. So, yeah, it's just, I don't understand. For some reason, Maeve is a raven in her visions, and there's a cage there, and it's dumb. So, yeah, like I said, this is going to be a bit of a longer review. Thankfully, now that I've realized I can just stop and piece all of these together, thankfully, I don't have to feel myself limited to 32 minutes, or else I'd be rushing through a lot of this stuff and I'd probably forget some of the stuff I wanted to say. Granted, I don't think a lot of people are watching my videos anyway, but for those of you that are, those of you that want to hear all of my thoughts and hear me rip into this shit show of a show, I hope you're enjoying that. So, but yeah, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 11, Mixie in the Middle. With a title like that, you would think this would be a lot more of a fun episode, because it makes me think Malcolm in the Middle, but no, it wasn't. So first of all, just a correction from previously in this review, because in watching this episode, I was reminded that it was Nia's mom, not her grandma, that she got to see, which I don't know. I guess mainly because, again, I totally forgot that she lost somebody close to her. But just looking, I mean, the woman looks a bit older. You know, she's got white hair. She looks more grandma age, and Nia looks more like high school age. So I just don't see them as mother and daughter, I guess. But yeah, so that correcting that, it's not her grandma, it's her mother. But I just don't. I'm just done with Nia's story. Because the problem is, it's been the same exact. It's been different variations on the same exact story basically since last season. Where it's Nia either doesn't know how to control her powers, doesn't know how to interpret her dreams, doesn't. Interprets the dreams but a little too late, you know, gets tricked, isn't able to measure. Whatever the case, it's Nia feels bad, somebody comforts her, she manages to get back up on that horse, and then you eat that horse. I had to throw something fun into this because my God, there's one fun thing I'll get to in a minute, but it's the same thing. Last episode was all about her dealing with what she did, letting Nixley out of the dream realm or whatever, dealing with that, and her mother basically saying, "Hey, look, you did it. It happened, but you gotta work through it. You can't change it. You made a mistake. Oh well, get back up, go again." That was the whole point. And then in this episode, it just takes it to another direction where now it's like, okay, it's the same thing. She does something stupid. You know, she tries to essentially make a sacrifice play unnecessarily, and then Brainy has to talk to her and be like, "Hey, it's okay." For some reason, she thinks Kara, of all people, is going to hate her for a mistake she made. I'm fairly certain you could make the worst, most embarrassing, most dumbass, brain-dead mistake possible and get the earth blown up somehow. And Kara would still be like, "It's okay, we all make mistakes." This team doesn't hold grudges. Lena is the only one in this show that I can think of that's been like, "Oh, you did something, you did something to hurt me? I'm just not talking. I'm going to turn into a villain now," because she's the only one in the entire show that has made this decision as far as the main cast is concerned. Obviously, villains do as well. Everybody else on the team, like, yeah, they've been hurt in the past. It's not like they've not had moments where it's like, "I can't believe you did this." Kara's not going to blame you for getting tricked by a master manipulator, even though you did have all the evidence to show you that she's clearly manipulating you. It kind of is your own dumbass fault. She's still not going to blame you for it. She's not going to hate you. Like, that reasoning to me was just the dumbest thing. And they spent it the entire episode. It's just, oh my God, it hurt. Every scene hurt my brain because I'm thinking, you're a dumbass. You're an idiot. Why are the writers writing you like this? So at this point, I'm hoping she can finally start to interpret her dreams, and that's it. You know, just let her be a part of the team now. Don't give her any more side stories, because I'm sick and tired of seeing the same old rehashed side story for her. And honestly, to be fair, it's not just her. Everybody has had this moment. I mean, Kelly is currently in that moment of, I just don't know if I'm going to be good enough to be a part of the team. Like, everybody on the show has had a moment like that outside of maybe Kara. And if she did, it was like first couple seasons when she's first starting to be a superhero. But I don't know. I'm just, because Nia has gotten the main sole focus of that story, that idea of, make a mistake, be in your own self-pity for most of the episode until somebody gives you a pep talk and you're like, okay, I'm good now. I'm getting sick of the formula, and it's really frustrating to see it done again and again and again, just with different viewpoints on it. Whether it's she doesn't know how to interpret her powers this episode, or she made a mistake and nearly messed up the mission this time. And just stop. Be done with it. As far as Lena goes, because she does show back up in this episode, she's going back to see her mom and all of that. It does feel very, I don't know, just coincidental, kind of Deus Ex Machina, that she's finding out that apparently her mother dabbled in magic, and she also has some of that in her as well. And I'm thinking, oh, what a coincidence. You find out your mother was a witch and she was able to use magic in the same time that Supergirl and friends need somebody who's a magic user, because what are the odds? Just when I heard that, whenever she found out her mother was a part of a coven, I'm just thinking, oh, really? Are you going to say that Lena has powers too? She's able to use magic? Are you gonna say that? Is that how you're gonna be able to write Mr. Mitzel Spittledick out of the show, but still have a magic user? What a coincidence! Wow, this writing is so natural. But with that being said, though, there was one moment in this episode. Again, it's something about the Supergirl way of writing and the Supergirl, just the overall feel of the show. Like the writing and the story and the characters are dumb. Like it just is. Unfortunately, that is this show's lot in life. Outside of maybe Lex, most of the characters, they're just idiots that like to give these grandiose speeches, and that's all the writing really is. You know, it's making statements, it's preaching to the choir because most of their audience agrees with them, so they're just preaching to people who already agree with them and think that they're reaching this huge audience. It's like, oh, hey, all of you people are wrong that aren't watching our show. So that's a lot of this show. That's a lot of what it is. However, I don't know if it's the acting, if it's the directing, don't know what it is, but occasionally you get that one performance or that one moment of a performance that is so batshit insane that it's hilarious to watch. You know, I think about that one episode. I don't remember what was going on outside of it, but I just remember Supergirl did something and saved like a building full of people, and there's just like this group of bystanders watching, and they all start cheering and applauding as if, I don't know, like somehow they were involved or they were about to get hit when they were nowhere near getting hit. I just remember these two people, and again, I don't know the context of it, but it just felt like the guy in the scenario was like, I want to hug this woman right here because, hey, I'm working background on this show. I want to get some feeling in. And so he like suggested that because it was the most over the top, ridiculous, hey! Like super big hug as if they had just done something incredible when they weren't even involved. They were just watching. It was hilarious. In this one, you get this fantastic moment. I don't even know if the guy, because this actually happened to me before his background, where I'm pantomime something, and they actually ADR'd some dialogue in after the fact. I don't know if that's what happened here, but the guy's voice did not match at all with what he looked like. He looked like this kind of, not feeble old man, but he looked like, kind of a nice old man, but he had this like deep, hello there. Like it was really weird, but just, I have to reenact, the only way is to reenact it because it comes from off screen. It's just this, hello ma'am, and just walks off. The exact posture like that, like just. As soon as it happened, I had to pause, rewind, and watch it 2 more times because it was the funniest thing I think I've seen on the show in a while. It had me belly laughing because it was just so unnatural. And again, the voice, maybe it is his voice. Maybe they didn't ADR anything, but it definitely did not look like that voice matched with that man. And it was so... Oh my God, I'm dying again thinking about it. Oh, I just... It's a moment in time. It's one of those things that I don't know... There are certain things that I've seen in some of these shows. I don't know how they've not been memed more. Like, I think about the double thumbs up on The Punisher. I'm just like, how has that not become a meme? Because it's just so funny to see John Bernthal just walk in. this one was just, hello, ma'am. And just walk away. Oh, God. I can't laugh that hard because my throat's still dealing a bit with the sickness that I had like 2 weeks ago. But anyways, so Lena's story though, it was just outside of the whole coincidental thing. It's a little weird. Like she says her mother's name and every time she does, people get all like, oh, I can't believe you. How dare you do nothing but your mother did. How dare you be born from a terrible person. Okay. What? I don't know, just part of me whenever, like the way my mind works, because whenever she said it in the inn, they were all like, oh, I'm sorry, your room's been double booked. And just like, okay, you're being way too obvious. You could just be like, hey, we don't want you here, get out. But to make up this stupid, random, like, clearly not true excuse to get her out of there, was just kind of like, what? But in my mind, whenever she walked into the bar and she said her mother's name again, I just expected the bartender to be like, I'm sorry, your drink's been double booked, and just slide it down to somebody else. But yeah, so again, kind of just this coincidental thing off to the side that's probably going to bring Lena back and make her a huge part of the story going toward the end. Mixie's storyline, I mean, I couldn't really understand why everybody was being so harsh to him throughout the episode. It was really weird. Like, I understand you're a little nervous around him because he has done some stuff in the past that makes him not the most trustworthy. But everybody was still just like, hey, you need to stay here. Don't move, okay? Don't do anything. Hey, stay right there. And then John and Alex talking, yeah, fifth-dimensional being without his powers is kind of like a... What was the term? Like a car without its engine or something like that? I don't remember. But it felt very weird. And so, of course, because they were all being so mean to him, I'm thinking, okay, so he's probably going to sacrifice himself at the end, right? To prove that he is useful. And that's pretty much what he does. So his whole rivalry with Nixley is just kind of, I don't know. They're trying to make Nixley sympathetic, but I don't feel it at all. Because it's not like she's this good person. It's more so she's a bad person that tried to stand up to another bad person and then got punished for it unfairly, and now that suddenly makes her a good person? No, she's still evil. And you can tell she loves doing what she does. And on top of that, her little friendship or whatever with, God, what is his name? They've already said it a couple times and I still can't remember it. But the guy who had the menagerie of alien species and stuff, she's teaming up with him now for whatever reason. He just snuck out of prison somehow. I love that they just randomly, oh yeah, I managed to get away during a transfer. So excuse me, are you going to be teaching a class on Lazy Writing 101 soon? Because it seems like you guys are pretty good at it. We don't want to explain how he got away. He just did. Whoop-de-doo. But yeah, their whole apparent friendship now. And on top of that, mainly because Kara in the last episode treated him as such a... God, he's just so unfortunate. He's been dealt a bad hand. You know, he wouldn't be this way if he really got the attention he deserved. And I'm just sitting here going, no, he seems like he's kind of an evil dude. He wants to have all these aliens at his disposal so he can put on this show that's basically a freak show type of thing. That's what he seems like, and I don't think that would have changed even if he had gotten better attention. I think that's about it. I think there might have been a couple other side stories, but I don't remember them now because the stuff with Nia and Lena was kind of so stupid that it just took most of my focus. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I don't really know. I'm assuming Nixley is going to be the main focus as a villain for the rest of this season. She is depowered now. She's going to look for these totems, so I guess that'll be kind of our main story for the final season. But she's just not that interesting of a villain to me. I don't know. I would have hoped for the final season we would get something maybe a little bit more personal for Kara. But it's just, she's not. She's not really a personal villain. She's made it personal out of nowhere, because that whole, I don't think I talked about it, but the speech at the end of the last episode where she's like, yeah, my father betrayed me, and now you betrayed me, and I'm going to get you both for that. It just feels sort of like forced personal connection, where, I mean, you knew each other for a short amount of time, and then you all of a sudden threw this whole plan on her, and she decided she didn't want to help you with that. She's just like, now all of a sudden I hate you for all of this. I hate you as much as my father. That doesn't seem right. It feels very overdone just to build up this dramatic tension that Nixley hates Supergirl as much as she hates her father who betrayed her, and that's now creating this epic drama. And like I said, it feels overdone for the purpose of creating dramatic tension where there really isn't. So, yeah. We'll see where the next one goes. On to the final of these 3 episodes. I'll see you there. And now episode 12, Blindspots. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish the show after this episode. I was just... Oh my god. We spent... I'm pretty sure we spent at least 15 to 20 minutes. I know for a fact because I actually went to check. We spent 8 minutes from the moment where Kelly storms into the tower to when they finally get back to the plot again of trying to stop this corrupt politician from doing, her evil stuff. There was 8 minutes where it was just white people feeling bad, And that was it. And black people trying to be like, I don't understand why the white people don't get it. And I'm sitting here watching this show going, is this supposed to be for people like me? Because I know that's who they're writing to. They're writing to people like me, who obviously I'm not black. But also they're like, hey, you need to see that racism is so bad. And I'm sitting here going, I mean, pretty much everybody knows, outside of the racists, everybody knows this. And you sitting here on your little soapbox preaching about how it's so hard for anybody who's not white in this world, while there are so many white people, like, honestly, my family's dealt with this, struggling just as bad. Don't get me wrong, I know that there's some parts of my life, it's mainly because I grew up in a small town, so even though we weren't super wealthy, we still had enough to make it in a small town. I know if we lived in the city, we'd be struggling hard, because I know prices in the city and cost of living in the city is much higher than out in the country. So I get that. I'm glad that I lived in a smaller town, so we didn't have to worry about the cost of living. But still, there are plenty of poor people out there that are not just black, and the show seems to want to treat it like, no. Only black people are struggling. Only black people are dealing with problems. And guess what? Nobody even cares. Nobody even cares. All these nurses and doctors that are treating other patients, they don't even care about the black kids. I mean, I'm sure that they're just sitting around doing nothing, right? There are so many people that were affected by that blast. But I'm sure that there's probably like 10 of them sitting in the break room laughing and joking, right? Because they don't care, right? What are you trying to say about people in the medical profession? Like, what are you trying to say about those people that Kelly's sitting in there acting like none of them care about this kid whenever the nurse literally said, we don't have enough here? And you can make the argument, oh, well, it's because it's a hospital in a smaller part of town so that they don't give them enough supplies for that. Okay, well, guess what? They were sent more supplies. Why can't they get some more people to come in and I don't understand why this has all of a sudden become like a nobody cares about black people story out of nowhere. And it was the entire episode. This whole episode was based on that. The only two other things outside of it were Nixley found the totem of courage somehow. She starts the episode like something's wrong. Something feels off. And then I thought it was going to be her realizing that somebody took some of her power, this councilwoman. But it wasn't that at all. She snapped her fingers. We went back in time to see what happened the night of the explosion. We saw this other unrelated story, and then we get to the end of the episode, and suddenly now she knows what the totem of courage is. How? How did she get that information? Oh, who cares? We have more important stuff to write. Like how black people are underappreciated, undervalued as people, and white people need to wake the hell up. Yep. Because that's how it works, right? That's how it works in our world. You can't be racist against black people, but racism against white people, thinking that white people are terrible, people that are ignorant and stupid and don't understand anything to do with racism, that's okay. That's okay. So let's write stories about that. I'm done. I'm not going to talk about it. I actually fast forwarded through a lot of the scenes where they were talking to Kelly because it just became so. It was just white apologet. What's it called? Like white apologicism? No, apologetics. I don't know. But it's white guilt. There we go. That's the term I'm looking for. It's white guilt. It's white people going, I'm so sorry, you're right, I don't see you, I see you now, I see what you're talking about, you're so right, I'm so sorry. That's all it is. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb, and I don't, not even just in the context of being dumb, this is a superhero show that I'm watching, and I'm spending almost all of this episode just listening to white guilt. Why do I want to watch a show about that? Why does anybody want to watch a show about that? My God. So yeah, Kelly as a character, I don't even care about her anymore. Like, honestly, they could kill her off and I would be, like, applauding. Because they just made her the most insufferable, selfish piece of shit this episode. Everybody is not doing enough for her. Everybody's not seeing her problems. She could say it's about, no, it's people who look like me. No, it's you. It's you. You're the one that wants everybody to see you for, I'm trying to do so much here and oh my gosh, no, everybody's out there trying to save the world. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to help people. I don't understand. Like, how can you save the, hey, newsflash, guess what? If Nixley goes and destroys Earth, terrorizes Earth, guess what? Who cares if the people are struggling? They won't be able to live on the Earth because it'll be blown up! It's like, oh god. I'm trying to remember what it is now. But there was something where it was like, talking about just something's gonna destroy Earth, and it's people who normally just wouldn't care about Earth being destroyed. You know, if like they're I think they're villains, or I don't remember. God, what am I thinking of? It's in my head and I can't pull it to the surface now. But it's like, whenever the stake of the world is the focus of the superhero team, that might take precedence. Because guess what? You could be upset, you can be concerned, you could be whatever about people being undervalued and not being treated fairly and all of that. You can rightly feel that way if you want to. But you won't be able to if the world doesn't exist anymore, because Nixley gets all of her powers and makes it go poof, gone. So the whole world being destroyed, your local problems. I'm sorry, that's just the truth of it. And that's why these types of stories and superhero shows don't make any sense. You want to bring up the problems of the people, of the citizens, of these undervalued, underappreciated people. You want to bring those up and try to stack it up against a supervillain who's trying to destroy the world. You're always going to lose. Supergirl can say whatever she wants. The writers can make her say whatever she wants. At the end of the day, the way this story should have gone is Kelly could have come up all high and mighty on her soapbox and like, nobody's listening to me. Nobody's listening to what I have to say. And all they had to say was, Nixley's trying to destroy the world. Do you want to have a world to live on, bitch? Do you want that? Because if you do, you probably should shut up and go do your own thing, okay? Bye-bye. That's how it should have gone. But of course this show wants to be all white apologetic and be like, no, Kelly, you're right. The needs of these people living and all of that, like where they're going to live and how the buildings in their community are going to be, all of that, so much more important than if we all die because the world explodes. That's so much more important. Let's focus on that. Oh my god. Ugh. So all that being said, the one moment that I can take out of this episode, because it made me laugh, because ironically I brought up that Moon Knight moment where the one girl was like, are you an Egyptian superhero? And then Marvel was patting themselves on the back because they're just like, this is how we're making Egyptian kids feel. We're representing them and giving them a hero to cheer for. Here we go. Another one. She's sitting there, she's in her new getup. Of course, she had to be the one to save the day because they wanted to give Kelly her spotlight moment. And sure enough, some little black girls, I'm Guardian! And that was the scene. That was it. The little girl, one holding a shield, one, I'm Guardian, and then Kelly looking like, I did that. And then it cuts to the next scene. And that was it. that was the whole scene. And it was so self-congratulatory. Writers, hey, we did this. We did this, guys. We made it to where black girls can now feel like they can do stuff too. It was our doing. Yeah, we're amazing. Oh my god. I honestly feel like I need to take a break from the show. I wanted to try to just finish it out, be done with the CW shows for now. Obviously, I've still got some Legends, The Flash, and Superman and Lois to get through. But I was ready to power through it, be like, all right, Supergirl, it's not good, but it's not painful to get through. This episode was all sorts of painful to get through. It was so over the top, bashing you over the head, slapping you in the face, soapbox pounding you on the head. I mean, it was all of it. It was not quite as bad as Batwoman. Obviously, Batwoman took that. I mean, every episode was like this on Batwoman. But it's still, I mean, it was so much time dedicated to this. And they didn't even have Lena show up. I honestly thought that was going to be what sort of saved the day. You know, because Kelly, obviously, she's just now getting into her Guardian outfit, so it's not like she's going to be strong enough to stop her, which, of course, then she ends up being the one to stop her because the writers are like, who cares if she's untrained and just got this new suit on and unable to work this device? Who cares about any of that? We're going to have her be able to do it all perfectly because she's amazing. She's amazing. And then, of course, I mean, the magic from Nixley is so powerful that, you know, Supergirl, that's one of her weaknesses, so I get why that wouldn't work. You know, Nia might be able to take her, but she's still dealing with her own, you know, uncertainties, so she probably would be able to. Brainy, of course, I don't really know how he stacks up against magic, actually. But I kind of figured it would be kind of they try to stop the councilwoman, and then Lena shows up, and now she's got this newfound magic that she uses, but she didn't even show up to help. She just gets back. The first thing she does is go back to her home. Doesn't even try to help her friends. Then why did she leave in the first place? It would be like the final episode of season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, whenever Aang gets the vision of like everybody in danger. He's like, I gotta go help them. And then he goes back and, you know, stops off at an inn somewhere and spends the night, you know, kicks his feet up. And then the next day he's like, oh, actually, I kind of want to go visit that city over there. And so he goes and visits them and then goes and checks up on. Why would you stop what you're doing if you're not going to... Anyways. But yeah, I'm tempted. I guess, you know, we'll see. Whatever review I upload next, you'll find out whether or not I decide to stick with the show or if I decide to take a break and come back to it maybe another time. But, God, it was just so much stupidity in one episode that it physically... I have a migraine because of this. Oh. And you could call me whatever you want. You could think I'm racist or a bigot or whatever. I've never viewed anybody that looks different from me. I've never judged anybody based on how they look. You know, I've never judged anybody for that reason. It's always how do you present yourself? You know, how do you present yourself to the public? How do you present yourself out there? If you're out there, big scowl on your face, you know, if you're dressed all like, you know, I don't know, grungy, if you don't take care of yourself. Some people I know don't have the ability to do that, so that still plays in my mind. But the fact of the matter is, I never look at anybody's skin color and immediately go, oh, well, that's a good person and that's a bad person. Because that's not how it works. Honestly, it's a little side story that I promise I'll be done with my little rant here. But one of the scariest moments I've had out in public, it was a guy, me and my girlfriend, walking dogs in this neighborhood. We saw so many people that day just hanging out on the porch, chilling. They waved to us. We waved back. Totally fine. We come around a corner of the road, and there's a guy standing there, just in the middle of the sidewalk. He's standing there, hood up, sunglasses on. It was not a cold day, so the fact that he had a hoodie on in the first place is already a little weird. But he's got his hood up, sunglasses, he's holding his phone like this with headphones in. And as soon as we come around the corner, a split second later, he starts walking. So we're both on edge. Like, I felt my grip tighten. I'm ready for whatever. I'm just like, all right, if he wants to do something, yeah, I'm going to do, obviously, you know, scrawny arms. I'm not going to be able to do much, but hey, I will do my best to make sure at least my girlfriend can get the dogs away and they can be safe. Guy walks past us, no problems, we're fine. I'm still glancing over my shoulder, though, because I'm just like, I don't trust that dude. The only white dude that we saw that day. Everybody else, I didn't know all the skin colors. Some of them looked, maybe a couple of them might be Hispanic. But that was the only white dude we encountered on our walk that day. And he made me so uncomfortable because how he presented himself. You don't wear hoodie with your hood up, sunglasses, and just stand like that. That looks weird. And maybe he is just a little weird, maybe he had some mental problems, I don't know. And if that makes me a bad person for judging that, whatever. But that made me uncomfortable. I didn't care what his skin color was. It was a weird situation. And that's the problem, is that I think a majority of people in America don't give a crap about what your skin color is. But if you're going to do weird stuff, or if you're going to go do some sketchy stuff, and you want to be like, oh, it's because I'm black, is like, there are people that do that because they feel like it's their get out of jail free card, when in reality, no, you're doing bad stuff. You could say it's for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, what are you doing? Who are you as a person? That's what really matters. And this show wants to make it seem like everybody that's white just who doesn't care. I don't understand how that can be an idea that is brought about by this show. And granted, they always have these white assholes that are kind of the scapegoats, but they always end up being like politician types, the greedy types, the higher ups, the CEOs, the rich white people. I guarantee you there are probably a lot more not rich, poor white people than there are rich. Just because there are some that exist doesn't mean that that's all of a sudden all white people, and all white people are just so ignorant and stupid to anything that's outside of their own little world. How racist is that? So I'm just, I know they probably just need to have this one episode to just get it all out. So maybe they'll be done after this, and maybe I should just keep powering through. But God, I was legitimately angry watching this because Kelly was pissing me off. I mean, just straight up conceited, self-righteous bullshit. And it was so annoying. So again, if you want to hate me because of my opinions, that's fine. I mean, that's on you. You do whatever you want. I know deep down, I know who I am as a person, so I don't really care what other people think of me. I've gotten to that point in my life where I believe what I believe. You can believe whatever you want. I don't care. Just, God, I really wish I could watch this show and at least enjoy just the stupid stuff that they do when it comes to superhero stuff. Like blowing up an ice machine or whatever somehow doesn't just cause it to self combust or whatever. The random superhero stuff that they'll pull out of their ass to make certain plot elements happen. That's the type of stuff that I put up with Supergirl. It's dumb, but it's kind of enjoyably dumb. You could tell it's writers that are writing themselves into a corner and realize it and then have to write something stupid to get out of it. That's fun. That's the funny stuff that I'm just like, it's dumb, but it's kind of funny to think these writers think they're so intelligent. This is the type of stuff that it's like, it's not fun, it's annoying. And it just, oh my God, it's so much too in one episode is the other problem. So, anyways, that's about it. I don't even know if anybody's watched this far into the video. If you have, and even if you don't agree with me, still leave a like and subscribe, because hey, we all have different opinions, we all have different views. If your view is different from mine, tell me why I'm wrong, and then I can tell you why you're wrong, and then we can just have a fun little discussion. If you want to call me an idiot, go ahead, I don't care. But that's it for me. So until next time, I'll see you guys whenever. Peace out.